we must get back together and see if I can do something. No, for you. See if there's anything that the makerspace, I think it's now. Yeah, I'm still on it.
I can't see either Nikos or Jonathan. Have you tweeted me? Okay, Andy Bennett in front of you. Welcome to a joint meeting of the British Computer Society Open Source Specialist Group and the UK Open Source Hardware User Group. We know from our regular meetings there's a tremendous involvement of all our membership with Hackspaces, makerspaces, fablab and so forth. And we felt that it made a lot of sense to have a meeting where we could discuss all the issues involved in Hackspaces, makerspaces, fablab and so forth. To do that, I came up with my dream list of exactly the sort of people we'd like on the panel. I asked them, thinking, I wonder if any of them will come, and they all said yes, so I have exactly the panel I want. The panel is 6 people. Tony Fish is in a taxi and will arrive here any minute now. The third chair was going to be Nikos Kronios. We think it's going to be John Mitchner, and if it isn't, it will be Nigel Ricks. And Nigel is sitting in the audience hoping that it's going to be one of the other two. But we do have representation from Innovate UK who will be joining us. The format today is going to be that each of the panellists will have 5 minutes just to talk about whatever they think matters. And then I shall steer a discussion into the subject. We've got a number of issues that I'm sure we want to raise. But before we start, so that we can take the discussion where we want, I should mention we were ridiculously oversubscribed to this, which is why a lot of people have been in touch with me and said I can't get a place. As a consequence, we are, as usual, filming this, but we're also live streaming, so anything you say will appear on YouTube shortly afterwards, just bear that in mind. The more polished video will appear later, so it will be as well as the stream. Before we start, could I just ask you to tell, so we find out a bit about you. How many people here have been to a Hackerspace? Right? And really, how many people have come here just to find out more? Right? How many people want to know how to set up a Hackspace? Oh, that's it. How many people want to know how to sponsor a Hackspace? Yeah, that's David Mizzle.
That's a warning.
Yeah, so if there's a sort of squash bit at the end, it'll be anyone mobbing him. What about, let's have a look at the background of people. How many people here work in the public sector? Interesting. Anyone in education? Yeah, that's good. And industry? Excellent. Okay, so we've got a good mix here then, of sectors. So that's, I hope I've given our panel a bit of a feel for what we've got in the audience and what the audience might be hoping to achieve. So I'm going to kick off by asking each of our speakers to speak for 5 minutes, and I'll be watching you watch. Our speakers have each been selected to make sure we've got a breadth of what we cover. Okay, so Jen Gillam is one of the founders of So Make It in Southampton, and I particularly asked her to come along to give a perspective of a regional makerspace, something that's not in London. So Jen, you've got 5 minutes to talk about what matters to you. Whatever's comfortable for you. The microphone is just there.
Okay.
I think is that being picked up?
Is it being picked up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't expecting to be first. So I'm Jem, I'm all the way from Southampton. So Make It is our makerspace, our little baby. It's been running for about 2 to 3 years now. It came about as an idea back in 2009. My husband and I both work from home, and we found all of our friends from university all living back to wherever they came from and had left, working from home with no friends. And we're quite technical-based people. My husband Benji had heard about makerspaces, hackerspaces quite a lot, and decided, yeah, we want to make one. So the following week, we then invited the internet into our flat to hack, basically. And I think we had quite a good afternoon of circuit bending and taking part in 30s, lots of things. And it was good fun, and we decided, yeah, this is something we want to do. So we started up, first of all, just an electronics hacking group. We met in cafes and bars and flats for a number of years. And as we slowly got the interest, we decided it was time to get a space of our own. And we had the makerspace in mind. So we set up in the corner of someone else's warehouse for a while, back in 2003. We started off with 2013. We started off with a small membership, 5 trustees who could sign on paperwork, and we grew, and now this winter just gone, we moved into a 1,000 square foot warehouse. And we're all on our own, so it's quite good. We're funded mostly by membership subscriptions. We occasionally run big membership drives and Kickstarter campaigns to keep the money coming in. It's obviously not sustainable. We also have several sponsors, Jeremy's company is one. And we're getting there. We're doing good. We've got several groups that our members run, ranging from hardware hacking, electronics, through to sewing, knitting, making, costuming. We have a corporate group. Lots of things. We now have 7 trustees who can sign all the paperwork. They're the directors of our company, so we tried to incorporate on charity, we were rejected. We don't have anyone with any knowledge to sort that out, so we had to become just a company limited. We now have 100 members, all paying subscriptions. We have 35 key holders who can just come in and make them space when they don't feel like it. We have another 100 or so supporters and friends and sponsors. It's worked out quite well from this little idea 5 years ago. We obviously have run into some trouble. I mean, the biggest one is the knowledge base. We started off just as a pair, eventually 5 to 7 people. We need someone who knows about legal stuff. We need someone who knows about money. Our original treasurer was the one who didn't say no. He happened to be somewhere else in the room doing something else, and the other 4 treasurers went, yeah, you're the treasurer. Things like that kind of logistics is still quite a problem. Finance is obviously always an issue. Safety and insurance, again, big things that we think about. If you're giving people access to big power tools and drills and stuff, then we need to be careful and make sure we know what we're doing. Gender inequality and diversity in general is an issue. We started off from a hardware hacking group. Naturally, they were all mostly men, white men in their 20s to 30s. So we fought quite hard to bring in other people into that group. I've been running a sewing group down there, which has worked out quite well. We've got quite a large number of female members. And then I got asked last week if women were allowed in our wood workshop. So I think we've still got some work to do, but we're getting there. In total, it's been a real success. We try and run like big group projects. So if we built a life-size, bigger than life-size Dalek, he's remote control. You can do his voice. He just runs around Southampton shooting people, which is good fun. That's brought together sort of 10 to 15 people, all with different skills, learning new things. I learned how to use circular saw, which is We also run a men's shed, which is this movement out of Australia. So it's all around retired and unemployed men. So they meet in the daytime in our makerspace, which works out quite well for us because then they pay us to use the space when no one else is using it. And it's basically great. We bring people together and make all sorts of things together.
Thank you. And they're showing our organisational skills spot on 5 minutes. And as part of the live stream, if you tweet with the tag either #OSHUG or #ECSOSSG, Andy Bennett here will pick up your tweets, so that's a way of getting questions through to the panel if you're not physically in the room. Our second speaker is Laura James from Makerspace Cambridge. Laura is one of the founders, and I've heard Laura talk before about some of the challenges of setting up the legal and health and safety issues. So knowing her, she's been heavily involved in that, and I asked her to particularly cover that issue for us. And you're 5 minutes to talk about what you would like.
Who wants to talk about health and safety? So, yeah, I'm one of many. I'm one of 3 co-founders, one of 64 founder members who put cash up front to make Hackerspace Cambridge happen after quite a few years of building community and finding out what people wanted in the region. And now I'm one of 240 members. So consider me as the representative who happens to be in the room. We are a community-run space, although we do have 3 directors who look after the non-profit organisation that provides very much a financial and legal framework for the community-run makespace in the north. We're a 24/7 makespace. Members have 24/7 access to all the space and equipment. It's about 350 square metres, and we have a lot of equipment. We've got electronics, 3D printing, laser cutting, CNC mill, glass work, fine-scale metal work, such as gold and silversmithing, vacuum forming, glass work, glass kiln, screen printing, computer control, knitting, sewing, vinyl cutter, t-shirt press, woodwork, quite a lot of metal work, lathe, various bits and pieces. We have a classroom which is used for events, hackathons, workshops, talks, all kinds of things. And of course the ever-present kitchen, which we call Hackerspace. We've been open just over 20 years now, and we've been stable at about 240 members for the last few years. That seems to be our sustainable level. Members will pay us £40 a month for 24/7 access, and we use that to cover operating expenses in month-to-month things. For big capital costs, we had a seed funding grant from the East England Development Agency that got us off the ground, and we also have industrial sponsors, so most of the big local engineering and IT firms have given us cash to help us find ways to so oddly enough, for us, finance actually isn't a problem. Actually, it's not a problem. The main problem we have is that Cambridge does not have many physical spaces within the city centre for such a workshop. So if we do lose our space at some point, if the world gets redeveloped, which we may at some point in the future, we will struggle to find another space. It's not a cash problem, it's that there is no other decent space. We have a workshop with a concrete floor, 3-phase power, natural light, inventing all kinds of stuff. It's perfect for us. Getting anything else, even remotely similar, is impossible. So that's one threat. The other is volunteers. We are entirely volunteer run. Everyone who's ever been part of Makerspace has been a volunteer. And we're not doing too bad. Most of our volunteers, we have some churn in our membership of volunteers coming and going. Our most active volunteers are probably a little bit of a distraction. Get some of that. I think to address the point about legal and health and safety, we try to separate our community-run bit and the non-profit company bit. So the non-profit company, as I say, provides a framework. We make sure there's a bank account, there's a lease, there's insurance, there are risk assessments, we've dealt with the various bits and pieces and stakeholders we need to deal with. The community make decisions about things like, shall we get a second laser cutter? What 3D printer should we get? What kind of events do we want to do? And so on. And that's been working really well for us so far. You do need someone who can do money we're actually very lucky. Our space is full of very diverse people, all ages, good range of ages anyway, over 18 but a good range of ages, gender diversity and racial diversity. We've got a good mix, it's wonderful. But we also have a lot of people who are there for work. We have people who come to make space as part of their job. We have people who are setting up new businesses and so on. And I think that actually gives us access to quite a few people who are willing to do management type stuff as necessary, which has been good for us. And we've got great advice from local companies and from universities or building needed advice on things like workshop safety. We've had their workshop managers come around and do inspections for us and so on. You can do anything you want in our space, hobby work, make things for a business, start a business and so on. And in our 2 years we've had some great successes. We've had a couple of businesses start out of Makerspace. Cannybots, which is awesome 3D printed kind of make your own racing robots startup. They didn't have Makerspace and got started and done all that prototyping there. And we've had Simprints as well, which is developing identity technologies for the developing world. They built their entire prototype in their early production and Makerspace and say that they would not be where they are today, which is financed and a team growing up to about 8 people if it wasn't for Makerspace. We've also had existing companies reduce their time to market by using Makerspace prototyping facilities, in one case from 18 months to 4 months for their new product introduction times. So things like that help us get local support, which is really great. I don't know if I've covered everything, but that's all I can think of to say at the moment. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Laura.
I've got one thing. I was going to say, quickly, we had 3 aims when we set up. We wanted to raise the profile of engineering and manufacturing and show people that it's something that can happen outside China. We wanted to increase local skills, start local businesses, and we also have a full place. We've done less outreach than we wanted. Although we've had lots of adults coming through, we've definitely had people coming and learning new skills. We've done much less with kids and young people than we wanted because that was a structured, managed time, and we'd have to be able to pull that out with autism.
Jonty Waring is one of the founders of London Hackerspace, and I asked him to come along because it is the biggest hackspace in the country.
In the world.
In the world. In the world. I only looked at the UK statistics. The biggest hackspace in the world, and he can give a perspective of what happens when you're really successful and what happens when you get really big. Jonty, over to you, 5 minutes.
Mostly things go wrong. So yeah, I am one of 2 co-founders of Hackerspace. I'm one of 8 current trustees. We call them trustees rather than directors because directors makes people think they shouldn't know making more decisions than they actually do. As of earlier on today when I checked, we have 1,198 members, I think. And they each pay a varying amount between £5 and about £100 a month. Just pay what you want. We don't link the amount you pay to anything inside the space. So somebody pays more, they'll get more than anyone else they do because they want to, and nobody knows how much any member pays. This funds everything for us quite comfortably now. In our current space is our 3rd space. I should say, sorry, we've been around since January 2009. And our growth since we started has been fairly linear, but there's been a few bumps now and then. Our funding is entirely from members. We received 1 grant of £5,000 when we first started. That was pure luck, to be honest. We didn't apply for it, they came to us. And since then, all members have funded all our outgoings, which has been great, apart from we can only plan, so we can plan based on a membership program, which is great. But if we have to buy something large, we won't go out for funding. We don't go looking for it. We trust that our membership is a stable base that we should build on rather than trying to get that money elsewhere. This is quite different with a lot of other spaces. I think probably every space here has had some sponsorship in equipment and elsewhere, which is good. Frankly, we're just idiots with it. So our workshop now is about 12,000 square feet. That's about 6,000 square feet inside, so 2 floors, and 6,000 square feet outside. And our workshop is very similar to what we have before. We have a mix of facilities, woodwork, metalwork, soft work, desk work, classroom. I think the only thing that we have that no one else has is a fairly large robotics area. And actually outdoor space, that's fairly uncommon as well. But we also have a similar problem in that our space is amazing where it is now, but London is being gentrified at such a frightening rate. When our lease expires in 3.5 years' time, we are not going to be able to stay there. The chances of us affording the rent are just not going to happen. Our current outgoings are, I think, around, you might know this better than I do, it's about £10,000 a month? Yes. About £10,000 a month outgoings. So it's incredibly expensive for us to operate at all. The main issues we've had with the space as it's grown is that the things that people have taken to be the golden rules of Hackerspace just stop working. One by one, they fail. The only one I think we're still doing to this day is meeting on a Tuesday night because all the other nights are terrible. Which is a good idea. But all the other ones, your community gets so large that it naturally splits into smaller groups. And that just doesn't work for us. We've been saying for years that we wanted more than one space in London. In fact, we said, actually, I remember having a conversation before we even started the space, there should be more than one space in London. Which is why, when Tom finally got the South London space off the ground, we were quite happy, and there's been, since then, a whole plethora of other spaces that appeared, looking after different things. And that's brilliant, and we want more of that. I do not think that it is a good idea to have one really massive space. It's better to have smaller ones, but at the same time, it's important to maintain the cross-discipline nature of what we have. Otherwise, you lose all the interesting things. And that's what I worry about with the really specialist spaces. I had something very important to say.
We'll have plenty of chance to say later.
Yeah, so the other thing that is worth mentioning is many years ago we also set up the Hackerspace Foundation, which has been at some time very active and sometimes completely dormant. And it is a loose sort of organisation of people from all over the UK that help try and set up other spaces and provide advice. We have friendly lawyers, we have good contacts with industry in certain places, and recently it's been used a lot for people coming to us who want to give out licenses to software or sponsorship or things like that. And because we have contacts in the space, it's easier for us to go into all spaces than someone else. A lot of this will be kicking off in the next 2 months, so all the spaces will be getting some nice free shiny bits. And then also, off the back of the Hackerspace, we also run a large Hacker Camping Festival now, which runs every 2 years and is about 1,500 people. And that's sort of to bring together all the different spaces. Not explicitly a Hackerspace thing, but we feel it's important to have meetings between all the spaces. They can become quite insular and people don't talk to each other as much as they should. I'm not even sure that's the right way to approach it, but that's what we're trying for now. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Tony Fish. And Tony is the co-founder of FabLab London. I particularly wanted FabLab London involved because of its FabLabs tend to have a more commercial focus. And I went and looked up, which contacted FabLab London and discovered it was founded by someone called Tony Fish, who I've known for about 30 years. So it's a good excuse for me and Tony to meet up again. Tony,
yes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. You'll have to shut me up in 5 minutes.
Okay. Right. So.
Just making sure. FabLab London. FabLab, it is slightly different, and everything you've heard about the labs, absolutely love. I just want to go back 15 years or so and what happened in software. Software changed subtly because software started to write software. And the human wasn't needed. And the reason then kids could start writing apps on iPhones and earn millions of dollars is not because they were gifted coders, because actually software was writing software. And fairly much software is better now than most humans at writing software. Fantastic. Hardware got completely left behind. Give or take a bit, we know from most of the spaces already they cost shed loads of money to put together. What happened 5 years ago is the laser cutter came from $1 million down to and now is 10. The 3D printer came from stupid money down to 50 grand, now 2, in fact 500 quid. And the CNC milling machines came from $1 million down to now 2 grand. What you're now starting to see is machines make machines. And that's what we're going for, is It's not so much come here, hack, which is absolutely endorsed, fantastic skills, and I love it, and we support absolutely everything. We have loads of people coming in. What we're really desperately interested in is getting our machines to make other machines. And in the summer, we've got a pile of interns and people coming in, and they have a remit, which is you've got to make a machine for yourself, and you've got to make a machine we can give away. Now, the lossiness of the system is massive at the moment. A bit like software was when it started to write itself. It was sort of 30% pretty good, 70% absolutely rubbish. And it's now probably the software is as good as, it kind of like replicates itself pretty well. Machines at the moment, it's about a 70% loss. You go from something quite big to something quite small. It's a bit fiddly, the software's not great. We're expecting in the next 18 months that loss will be 50%, and probably in 36 months, maybe 48 months, it's going to be 80% pretty good, 20% loss. 5 years' time, it's probably going to be, the machine producing machine is going to be as good as. So we've got a different type of philosophy. We absolutely improve the skills. We've managed to get the kids piece, love to share with it. It's hell on earth. We'll get teachers. We had 60 teachers in the lab this evening who are coming in to learn not how to code, it's how to use the laser card, how to use the 3D system, and go back, not knowing how to use the machine, but with an application. How do they take it to a history lesson? How do they take it to a geography lesson? How do they teach maths as part of it? And that's what gets them really excited. They don't really give a monkeys about computer science and hardware. What they care about is the kids and the future of those kids, and know they've got to have digital skills which can affect them. They need the application, not just physical. So we're having lots of fun. Really encourage everybody to come out and play, because it's great. Love everything. And this, I don't know if you know, do they all know who you are? Do you introduce? She's not on my list. She's like the most important person in London. She organises like the 30 labs across London and brings them all together and takes them around once a month and go visit them all. It's massively good. She is the goddess of London's labs. So, yeah, now. She's on the front row as well.
Thank you, Tony. I'm sure questions will come for you as well. Just because you're that side doesn't mean you won't get asked questions. Our next speaker, panellist, Tom Lynch, as we've heard, founded South London Hackerspace and also involved in the Makerspace. Sorry, that all took place, isn't it? It's because I've written over it. You're also involved in the open workshop, which is this thing, and I've carefully written over the word open down. South London Makerspace. Okay, and the reason I wanted Tom here is particularly to be what's it like being not the biggest hackspace or makerspace in London.
Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to answer that question right here, and this exact moment, but I wanted to just talk about where South London Makerspace came from. It's kind of got a really weird long history. It's actually, unfortunately, this history is almost as long as Hackerspace has been open, which is kind of interesting. So it kind of started around September 2011 with it's not quite clear exactly how it started because no one that was originally involved in it is still there, but it's interesting because it started off with me going to a meeting in a pub where people were just kind of talking about, we want to have a Hackerspace, and I think initially it started its name as Brixton Hackerspace, and it has, interestingly, it was connected to Blaine Cook, who was one of the CTOs, ex-CTO of Twitter, and people like Brock Craft and Alex Deschamps-Messina. So there's quite a few interesting people involved in where we come from, but unfortunately it's not actually that easy setting up these spaces, and it requires a lot of commitment, and all these people have, there are the big commitments, why we know those names. But what's interesting is that around that time there was an exhibition called The Power of Making at the Victorian Albert Museum, which was curated by Daniel Charney, and him and Vivian Warman from the Makers Guild kind of held this meeting. It was, sorry, I'm just looking through our website. All of this off the top of my head, sorry. I think it was around Christmas 2012. Dates might be wrong, I'm not sure. But there was a proposal to have some kind of tinker space, is what it was called. And that name came from the V&A exhibition, where there was a space within that actual exhibition called the Tinker Space. And they wanted to kind of have like a Hackerspace, but for Southampton, because the distance travelled, and also, you know, as you kind of pointed out, the size that it's growing is just kind of unsustainable. And also, I guess, gives you a chance to try things in different ways as well, and learn from issues that happen. So kind of went from there, and people started meeting, and as these things do, they sort of fall apart, stop happening for a bit, and then they come back together. And so, unfortunately, it took a little while before one of the other co-founders of the Makerspace, Tom Newsom, it gets really confusing having so many Toms in Makerspace. But we also have a collection of Matthews and other people, so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, so myself and Tom Newsom are kind of the main two people. We also had a lady called Yulia. Tom really is kind of one of those people that really just goes for things and sort of screw the consequences. And I'm one of the kind of really conservative, like, we should really hold back and consider this. And have you thought about the consequences? But apparently I became a director without really knowing about it. And when I got a letter through the post saying, congratulations from Company's House. And then I went from there. I did have some foresight that that was going to happen. So it's just kind of going from there. Then around this time last year, the 1st of April, we moved into a temporary kind of pop-up makerspace type space, which was in a shop front, a shoe shop front in Herne Hill, which is quite close to where the original pub meeting was in Brixton. And we stayed there for 4 months, just paid the council business rates and everything else, electric, I suppose. And it was just really popular. We went from 0 to about 65 members, paying £20 or more a month in that period. But then when that ended, we needed to find another space, and we didn't find one before we had to move out. Eventually we found one in October last year. This railway house, literally 5 metres behind where the shop front was, which is convenient. And we've been renovating that space since, so we're kind of a bit short on cash, and it's a really old Victorian railway house, so it has nothing in it, so we've been doing quite a lot of work and basically borrowing from companies. Thankfully, I was supposed to mention this, the Greater London Authority, which you don't know, that's now London's office, has kind of donated or sponsored us, or whatever you want to call it, for further renovation work to complete the second half of it. So that's been really fantastic. So that's kind of my little history of makerspace. Let's talk about that, we can do, but definitely I wanted to mention it's been really useful for us to talk to people, and I think it would be interesting to tie that in with the Hackerspace Foundation in the future.
Well, what I'm going to do is then, if you'd like to just say a couple of words about yourself and workshop, because this has come up twice, and that would help people. Let's take a seat temporarily.
My name is Liz Corbin. I am just the organizer of a group called Open Workshop London, so I'm very much kind of a facilitator on the ground. It spurred out of my PhD, which is around open access workshops and open source hardware design, which is called Open Workshop Network. So the idea is that eventually what we're having in London will be able to go sort of nationwide, looking at each different region and trying to find and support the different Hackspaces, fablab, makespaces, and general open workshops that are within this area. So London is going quite well. We have 41 spaces now. One just opened. So we have 41 spaces that are meeting every month. We tour around to a new workshop every month, and it's basically it's a physical way that we can all get together and speak about common issues and also ways to support one another.
Thank you very much, Liz. Thanks for our last official panellist was going to be Nikos Pronios. I knew Nikos was going to be very tight on making it here. He had then found a substitute, which is Jonathan Mitchner, and it looks like Jonathan hasn't made it here yet. But knowing these things might happen, I had a third substitute lined up. So Nigel, would you come and join us at the front? Nigel Ricks is from the Knowledge Transfer Network, which is charged with basically ensuring knowledge transfer smoothly between universities, government and industry, and forms part of Innovate UK. How many people here know what Innovate UK is? One or two. It's the government's innovation agency. It has a budget of over £500 million next year, which is used to support the transition of ideas from academic concept into industry stuff. And I declare an interest because my company's had several projects funded by it. Nigel, the reason for asking Innovation UK to be involved was we are very conscious that when we have meetings, we get a lot of makerspace and Hackerspace people coming along, and it's surprising how many of our speakers turn out to then have Innovate UK funding. So the question is, what role does the state play in the makerspace, Hackerspace movement? And that's, we've got 5 minutes to talk about what we'd like to talk about, but that's why I asked him.
So I'm third substitute. I didn't know I was about to say anything for 5 minutes. Innovate UK has got a wonderful bit. Innovate UK is part of the government. They themselves are referred to that because they're elections. They can't say anything interesting about money, but they can say the knowledge transfer network has changed as of last year. There used to be 15 knowledge transfer networks that were very much based on various industry sectors or economic challenges. So there's knowledge transfer about built environment, energy, there's more about materials. I particularly work in what's called applied technologies, which are electronics, photonics, space for some reason in our area. But the technologies are used on things. They're enabling technologies. The challenge I've always had with makerspace is that it's a nice challenge, so I've not solved it, but I believe there's something in there somewhere that we do. Innovate UK is charged with being responsible for innovation within the UK. Innovation is a driver for economic growth. It is seen as important for industry, for economy, that innovation growth. The UK has a wonderful position that it's fantastic at invention. It is lousy at making any money out of it. And I've got a slide which I have, which is something like 30 great inventions that everyone will recognise. Where the UK invents it, then made no money. Someone else did it. So one of the challenges we've got is innovation itself. The UK is great at it. How do we convert that into economic benefit? The knowledge transfer network now is about 170 people strong. So it's moved from being national organisations focused on industry now to a complete cross-sector and across the whole of the UK organisation, trying to help industry. So we look at businesses. Education is not within our scope of work, but we try and help businesses look at ways in which they can innovate and generate economic growth. I'm afraid it is state aid, it's money being spent by the government. The nice thing is they don't take any IP based on what it is. It's just very clean money. You get a grant to offset the risk of the project. And the idea is to make companies and grow. So our job is to provide the connections between industry and innovation itself. We also, by trying to understand what is happening both from the technology side but also from the challenge area, be able to advise fascinating. They remind me, so I'm not one of the 20 to 30 or the demographic alternative, I'm one of the 60 to 70-year-old old farts who remembers the radio style when I was at school. And I built my first PC, having imported the board from the States and sold them all together. Great fun. And Raspberry Pi, for some way, is a great throwback to those early days where you didn't get all the box all work. You had to do some work to get it. But how do we work alongside? How do we help makerspace? Throwing money at makerspace. Hey, we have not got any money ourselves. But what is the thing that we could do that is interesting? We've worked with Andrew and we've funded teas and coffees for various things so that they have just offset the cost of running a weekend type stuff. We've worked with some of the Liverpool groups where they have had hack weekends that were focused on trying to bring together, say, the medical community with the hackers to look at how they can work together and drive the product. And that has gone to the point now where they take those into involving VCs, and after a bit, the top product gets our support from the space, or gets introduced to VCs and moves forward. And that's fantastic because that brings a challenge that's not part of the makerspace movement, with makerspace experts, and a route where it could go forward for great deployment. There are schemes for feasibility. One of the things that in the UK is it tries to look at areas of funding which are too risky for either venture capitalists or for bankers. And so it's trying to fill in the bits. Most of them are physical, real companies, I'm afraid, rather than individuals, because it has to have things that have to make money. But there are feasibility studies which they give money for, where it really is you've got a bright idea. You haven't got all the money for it, but they will fund, take some of the cost and press these probably 60% of the funding cost, just taking a single idea forward. So I'm here to learn, but it is, how can we help? Do we just stay out of the way? Don't do anything? We've got enough to do elsewhere. The feeling makerspaces. And companies that people represent in the makerspace. People, you're in the makerspace, you're innovative people that help your company make sure they do more innovation themselves. That may be one of the areas. We're really friendly. And we're keen to help.
Yep. I can confirm all three of those. Thank you, Nigel. Thank you for the 5-minute introductions. Now we move to discussion. If you're listening online, tweet your questions. I've got a number of topics that I think we want to cover tonight. But before we go there, I'll just say any first initial questions or comments out of the audience. Mark?
Yeah, just on the aspects of with greater innovation, but we're not good at keeping hold of it, basically. I was watching a program a few weeks ago about how easy it is for our listed companies to be taken over. I'm sure you know where I'm going to come from. But basically, in America, for example, if you issue like a rights issue, it doesn't mean that you've given away control. And indeed, American companies can maintain only about 5% of the shares, but they still maintain control. Whereas in this country, what I'm looking at is once you get beyond a certain size and you want to go that route to raise money, you've got problems, haven't you? And I just wonder, well, is that an issue that you've recognised?
The issue is where you go from. Basically, you're doing a down round. I'm a venture capitalist. I have been for 15 years. I invested 68 million last year. So yeah, it's capital structure stuff. If somebody has 5% equity in his own company, that's because they give preference share in its name.
No, in this country there are different rules about share ownership as to what they are on the state.
I think
Well,
I'm going to
It's so off topic.
I'm going to cut in here. I think there's a great conversation that Tony and Mark had in the pub afterwards, but we've got a lot to cover, and I think we're outside direction. I'll take two more questions.
You mentioned that you broke the rules of the 5 rules of golden rules or whatever.
All right.
What are the 5?
Sorry,
I always refer to a wiki on the website somewhere.
Yeah,
There is a sort of established set of laws known as Hackerspace design patterns, which have been built on over the years. So just for anyone who doesn't know, Hackerspace has been around a long time. They originated in Germany in the late 80s and have been growing ever since. They didn't make it outside Germany until the 2000s, to America. It's been a long growth, but over that time you've documented things they've learned, things you should do. And some of those things hold true when you're small, but as you grow bigger they start to break down. And figuring out how to continue those things is an ongoing thing. At this point I would say that the London Hackerspace is as much a social experiment as it is anything else. So it's very hard to figure this stuff out. But we figure that us figuring out means that people have more experience and hopefully you can absolutely great afterwards.
To answer the question, if you Google Hackerspace design patterns,
Oh, some of you mentioned the links that you have with universities, and I've worked in education all my career, and in a sense, working in an engineering department, we have your own kind of access, but it isn't public. Do you think there is more scope for collaboration between Hackspace and university? Because after all, the universities are resources for everyone in the community.
There is a direct relationship between the Hackerspaces and universities. At least in some cases, not all that everyone wants to do it. And a lot of the cases now is universities going, this is a great idea, we want that too. And they've opened up to all the students. So UCL, King's, who else? There's at least 4 or 5 in London alone, and they have essentially gone and taken you can't your anyway. A lot of the members of the Hackerspaces. Oh right.
Yeah,
But it's more
but UK universities are outside of London as well.
well, no, I was saying you know, there are some outside of the country as well.
Jem, can I just ask you from Southampton?
Yeah, Southampton has been interesting. We have 2 universities, one very science and technology based, one very media based, and our science based university, I think several times now, has approached us and said, what you're doing is fantastic. Can we have one of what you've got, please? And we've said, well, your students are welcome to come down, you're welcome to come and have a look. Please give us some money, that would be great. But they kind of, we talk back and forth, and then what usually transpires is that they want something like we have, but purely for their staff and students, which then obviously we're not interested in. So it's been,
I went to a they wanted to make their own one in the Students' Union building, so that potentially people from the public could go to it, but as kind of second-class citizens, and that they wanted it to be extremely well funded with like millions of pounds worth of equipment and dedicated people there all the time to make sure that the machines were used properly and various all sorts of bureaucracy and stuff.
Oh, they wanted staff. We don't have staff.
Yeah, they're volunteering. So it was a very different thing that they were proposing, and we've not had any luck trying to get them to support us.
So one of the things that may come out of this evening is the ability of shared experience of how you approach universities. Because one way to beat up universities is here's another university. Nigel,
Sorry, there's eight fab labs in the UK, but with 5 of them already university based. There will be 20 fab labs by the end of the year. There's next 12 coming online are all university based.
So I work at a space called the Institute of Making, which is at UCL. And it's an open access workshop for UCL staff and students. So you're completely right. I think in academia, very conventional, the way that they think is if there's a corresponding space, then it should be able to go first and foremost to the students and staff. I think there's new models coming out where they will kind of akin to an open access day that fablab has on Saturday. So there'll be a model where some days are for university members and then another half of the week is for open access public membership. And in terms of outside of London, so there's advanced Imperial Hackerspace and Institute of Making here in London, but also Sheffield, Cranfield's trying to open one. Open University is exploring the idea, so it's Dundee's exploring the idea.
I've got a big interest in that. But they want to.
There's one thing that's like UCL does have on days, but it's like they do have public open days, but it's a bit weird because you go on and see it's like this is great, you can't come here. So which is a shame. I know earlier on in the discussion it was like there will be.
But they flip that, depending on who hurts themselves, depends if they lock down or they open up. And as they forget themselves, they open up again, and something else they shut down. So.
Laura, you've got very strong relations with the university.
Oh, we're totally independent of them.
You're totally independent, but you have a good, constructive
We have a good
relationship.
relationship with the very helpful and certain employees. I think, however, there is a fundamental conflict with interest. The university has its own role. And one of the things they want from us is they want our amazing interdisciplinary network. That's the value they see in us. It's not the kit, not the space, it's the people. But they are not willing to create spaces in the university that they would actually open up on the kind of terms that we're in. 24/7 members of the university. And they have no way to do that within the structure. One of the reasons we're an independent organisation is because Cambridge has more than one university. And we want to be open to everybody. Town, gown, both universities, people from outside the region, everything. So we must be
There's a question
No.
about that.
I'll come to you in a moment. Nigel, is this something your whole job is networking universities and other organisations? Is this something where KTNs?
Good. Yes. If someone came to us and said, look, we'd like some help on all these things, we have got national code. But let us know. We're interested in how to do that. I think there is a thing that is basically a makerspace or hackspace is about the individuals doing something they enjoy it. And profit is not the biggest motivation. I did hear Dare's group was setting up what they called a maker, but it was almost like a prototyping workshop for the local companies. And what they were trying to do is, if we get this kit together, it provides something that's a useful resource for local companies to come in and use, and we'll call it makerspace. I don't know how far that's got. Later. But it wasn't the same thing as people fundamentally helping each other.
One working example of this actually being the university working well, which is that our biohacking group has really good ties with which university is that? Is it? It's not UCL. I always think it's UCL. Is it UAS? King's Crown. But they actually fund. They are funded other groups to go out to the US. They go to these small labs. They come to our lab and work together. They enter competitions together. There is a lot of strong ties there, and that's something that I can see happening more often. But they're not putting money into space directly to. Which is interesting.
Yeah, I think that's more with the developers, the group actually has some
Yeah.
people who actually have it work.
Well, actually, they approach.
David, I'm conscious you've got a question, but I want to move on.
2 seconds.
I'll come back to you. I want to move on and address one particular issue because talking before the meeting, it's a common theme that comes up, which is the challenge of actually maintaining a community, particularly when you're a run. Joe, would you kick us off on that? Because I know that's something that's been dear to your heart and a big challenge down in South.
Yeah, me speaking first, yes, so we, sort of, the initial group of people I think, that we had together, we're all very much enthusiasts about making we didn't have much knowledge in how to run groups. I mean, a couple of us were scout leaders and things, but nothing big, I guess. So our issue all along has been how to get volunteers first of all in to run parts of the makerspace, and then to get people to basically, we always want to do outreach and get into the community, spread the word that we're here, this is what we're doing. And we have a membership of 100 members, and we have found that on the whole it's the same 6 to 10 people always doing the same events. And because we're dark, we keep getting invited to these conventions, and it's always the same 5 people going to these events, and these conventions have like a season, so from, I don't know, October through to April, every couple of weekends it's been the same 5 people doing the same thing in a different hall, which has been quite hard work. And we want to do it, we want to get out there and do these things. It would be nice if we could encourage more people to take on some of that. I don't think it's great.
Tom, can I bring you in here? Because one thing that struck me when you talked was the fact that none of your original founders are still in South London Hackerspace, which is a bit different from yours. That strikes me. You may have got some experience of building and maintaining and keeping a community. But I understand, why have you had that turnover in church?
so I think it's just because it was such a long period of time, as I said before, kind of because people had such a focus on other things in their lives, mainly work commitments and things like that. Whereas I suppose some of us, that's more gullible people, have ended up being roped into looking after. I think like trust, we have currently 5 people as trustees as well, 5 directors of the company at the moment. I think we only go back to 3. Not far enough, there's people moving away. I think it's interesting that it does always seem to fall back to us. So I don't think that we've got it right. I just think it just the way it happens. But we have become a bit more wise to things. So, for example, public events. We signed that we were the only place in all of the south of England that signed up for the recent Albino Day, and we signed up for it coincidentally on the same day as another event that we had. So, we trustees had committed to go to one event, and the members had to kind of pull together, and it worked out really well. But it is difficult, and I definitely agree with that kind of 10% rule, where about 10% of people kind of really commit and help out with the rest. They kind of, I wouldn't begrudge them, but it's just they're using the space rather than necessarily putting in a great amount to it. I think that's just the way it is. People didn't sign up, I suppose, for volunteering, and if they want to make it better, they can take it all by the horns, if you like, and make it better. If they don't, then it kind of stays the way it is. So the local Lambeth Country Fair is an event that we've got coming up locally to us soon, and we decided if no one else can organise it, then we're just going to. It's a lot of work. We're still building our space right now, so we're still kind of organising all that and having all the kind of deadlines for that to kind of go through.
So I think one of the challenges described as the number of people who come up and say, you really ought to do this, and turning it around and saying, no, you do it, we're here to enable it. John T, I mean, you've been through, you talked about the whole problem of maintaining the community breaking down when you get to your size. I mean, have you got anything that you could pass on to others coming up through that route?
There's the opposite of what you described when you say what we always call well volunteered, which is okay, someone comes on and I think you should do X, but well volunteered, off you go. And that works really well when you're very small. But what turns out of that, you have a weird social change that comes with that, which is that people then won't suggest anything that they can't do. They might have a great idea, but they're too scared to say anything. So we banned that phrase now. We just stopped doing it because it became so harmful in certain situations. It was not worth doing. But at the same time, you do have an issue with getting people to do stuff. There's something that I've done a couple of years ago, which is talking to a lot of people from space all around the world. And I know it doesn't entirely hold true all over the UK, but once you go over about 100 members, you start seeing about 30% of your members are active in the space in any given month. And that doesn't mean active in terms of maintaining the space, it means active as in coming to the space. And then of that, you're going to get a subset, which is about 10%, which is what you can see already, which will actually do anything. And it seems to just hold true. It's just the size of the groups that have roughly set things.
Yes, so there's a kind of interesting empirical rule with collaborative groups which says that 1% are creators, like Genesis, I think was an idea. 9% are curators, and the rest of the 90% are consumers of these things. What extent do you find that 9% is useful? How do you get them to kind of engage with what
It's difficult to judge how much that would actually line up with our numbers without 9%.
So how roughly is that?
I don't know with other people, I'm curious to see.
10% higher.
Actually, there's one thing also with that 30% number is some spaces where they have enough people that people will keep paying even if they don't use the space very often. If you have a high entry, parcel entry, that will not be true for you at all. Like you'll do like £40 or something. Yeah. So it definitely will start paying that, whereas people for us will just drop it down to 5.
Dave?
Dave Michelle, Treasurer, love money. I've put it into history, and I'd encourage you all to look, especially the non-members of Makerspace, at about our Royal Charter, which is on the wall. Let me quote, it's in the stream. Our Royal Charter is to promote the study and practice of computing and to advance of knowledge and education therein for the benefit of the public. I would suggest that there's going to be several Royal Charter holders who would be able to associate with you in what you do if you can maintain that level of what you do. That's only a suggestion. If you don't even have a national one yourself, our equivalent of a presidential commission. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The makespaces are fulfilled in charge of the BCS.
Correct. And again, the BCS still struggles because it's charged for membership. Membership still takes the law.
Separate. Well, I'm volunteering.
Totally agree.
No.
I suppose one of the things that when we start new groups, you could offer them, it either turns into 11, in which case they die and you turn it off and start getting something else. Or you can get up to 100 people signing up on websites and start to get active. Once you get another certificate, it's best to start to fragment it down. Remember rights, which are loosely associated with people. One thing they started very much as around mobile telephones, whereas now they're fragmented it down into lots of different looking at specific areas. I was slightly curious whether the makespaces do, as they get bigger, do you form subgroups, say, that different things? In terms of in terms of help, I suppose that KTN now runs about an event every day. By that it means that we've got the back office capability, we have one event price, we can even supply the badges, and if you really start on someone to handle that. So that the connections to industry, if you want those, either directly within the electronic sector, but particularly external to that, we are very interested to see what you do with that. The thing that I would love to be able to try and tap into is things like 3D printing is a great height. Half an industry believes with a 3D printer, you can not only make your chocolate cake, but you can also print your ear, and it will make anything you could possibly think of. And within industry, there is a great misunderstanding of what you actually can and what you can't do. And that's a big challenge because we get people saying, oh, I've got this new product, I'd love to 3D print the case. And you look at it and let me find someone who can help you just say what is practical, what is not. If it was sort of trying to tap into technology, how do you connect companies locally with it or get to it? Yeah, a makerspace open today for local industry would be fantastic. We really support that very, very actively.
So just on that, Barclays just given us a stack of cash. We're taking through every single Barclays manager in London at first, through the fablab to train them on a 3D printer, on a laser cutter. So when they go to their businesses and the business is saying, we want to buy one of these things, they actually start to understand. We've just taken through all the partners, Bird doing exactly the same. We've got law firms who are doing exactly the same. It's a really, we've got a completely different model. We don't charge members, not interested. It's just a madness of trying to do tiny little things for us. We want to try and disseminate the information, get people, as many people through the lab, playing with the machines. We're not going for anybody trying to make products. You just haven't got enough time. You can't need your own machines. It's trying to introduce people into those machines and get them to understand the implications and actually see where it's going to go, and suddenly start to understand that all Formula One engines are 3D printed. If you come to our lab, I'll print you a chocolate. No problem at all. I'll then print you a conducting t-shirt. Okay, we'll show you it working. We did the cranium for one of the skulls of the High Street guys. We all what they come and use the machines for. One of the guys printed it yesterday. They're doing a Formula One engine, so we're actually this evening. It's a 65-hour print that started, which is started off. So they're going to be here on Monday to pick it up and take it off to the show. Because it starts to show what's possible. I love it.
I think that's a very good lead into one of the other areas we want to cover tonight, which is where is the boundary between this is my hobby, it's free, it's fun, it's open, and Laura talked, for example, about the two businesses that you've had come out, the fact some you know, and the fact that people, some people this is their job in space. Tony, it's
interesting because I had volunteers, volunteers, what we say to them is you're going to build a business. So the people coming in to run the education groups, they're building a business that they're going to build into an education. They're just using our space as the mechanism to build it. Build your own community, show people how it works and build a business out of it. We've got Fire Tech Camp coming in, and they're running a 6-week program through the summer, getting kids in. So it's again, it's a business built within the business, totally enabled by getting access to machinery. I love it.
We don't know that. In fact, I think that's very important. I get asked a lot, by the way, set up a Hackerspace or makerspace, you want more people calling you to try to research you. And now that I wish my time for research. But I don't ask, because a lot of people don't know. People doing the most interesting things cannot say if it's a hobby, if it might be a business, or if it is or not. They don't know. They're doing something which is challenging, or they have an idea, or they have a problem, or they've just met someone and they want to try doing something together. They don't know what it is, and we don't ask. Asking would stop some of that creativity.
I guess, sorry.
It's the limitations which we find incredible. Some people come in with an idea and it pushes the machines to the very edge. And then you actually get beyond the edge and we start hacking the machines to make things work. Actually, that's what it's really exciting.
I have a quick question. I've actually had the chance to meet the tech show, the CEO.
Yeah.
So he seems to have a slightly different model. Do you see any of that happening over here? Because he said, yeah, sorry. No, the one I can't remember his name, the guy based in the valley.
Yeah.
So they wanted to actually start one here.
Yeah.
I just like really dirty and I met him. And he said he's going to start one here. And I've never seen anything here. So it's kind of curious. Why are you still trying to? Oh, okay.
He's been trying for about 3-4 years.
Okay. So I was just curious why hasn't that happened yet? And do you have any insights? Because if you go there, inside of there, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes, I know, compared to a hackerspace on the other places, it's also even the one in the valley, it's like, it's awesome. But the thing is like, if you want to use anything, they charge you.
Yeah.
Do you think that the moral ever exists here? Why does that doesn't happen here? What are your thoughts on that?
Step back a little bit into Said's background.
Yeah.
So he was at 177 University, if anybody knows that. It's where Google was founded, LinkedIn was founded, PayPal was founded, and a number of other famous value-based companies went through them. And what he did very cleverly, his family owns the building, and they said, okay, we'll give you a tiny amount of rent and give us 1% of the company. So he stacked loads of money, so he does exactly the same model through Techron today, and that's exactly their model, which is come in here, we'll give you cheap desks, we'll take a percentage of your company, happy today, so it's a funding model. They are interested at all in the people, interested in the community. It's a straight financial model. And it's brilliant. I love it. It's a very different model, but only works very well.
Question?
Wondering about the link between makerspaces and manufacture. Is there a link really?
Laura, you work in a company to make
I mean, there is an informal link, so we try to give pointers to our members to the companies who help us scale up. So you can make one off or two off, or you can make maybe 50 or 100 in the space, but if you're scaling up, you need to go out. So we do have links with local manufacturing companies who will be able to find a similar scale. And we have links to local groups that help you with manufacturing by service, manufacturing, that sort of thing. I mean, we're not really a suitable space for a scale manufacturing. That's that.
Do you do kind of small batch production or?
Well, we're a space where people can do whatever they want. So yes, people do very small batch production, but sooner or later they find that there's too much contention in machines or whatever. They look to, they want a bit more extra specialisation. Yeah, our kit is prototyping kit, not manufacturing kit. If you have something like candy box, which I could use a cut most of it, then you can sort of do it. I'll do that sooner or later.
One thing to add to that briefly, which is it's all investment as well. So we have a rule that if you are running your business from the space, we ask you to try and find somewhere else because we just cannot deal with that number of people. The number of people we get in touch saying, "Oh, you've got really cheap desks." You can. We kind of say that the space is sort of like it's a third space. It's not house, it's not your office. It's somewhere in the middle. You go there to play. You don't go there to start your business. You don't go there to do these things. You get there and play. If the business falls outside, you change career or something. That's great. Go and do that. We will support you all the way. We have the contacts for you to go to these places afterwards. But that's not the way you do it. It's not fair to run your business in profit. Other people are doing this for free. Other people are going in there just to play. So that's the we have somewhat different in terms of.
Okay, very similar. So, for instance, one of the businesses that's reduced its production time to process makerspace, its staff member, one of them is one of our active volunteers. So we get back from that. But generally, we do also have a similar thing if someone is running a serious level of production and it's interfering with the communal use of the space, then we have to take it from that.
Sorry.
Yeah, hi. I was a member of Makespace for a year, so it was very interesting for me to see the dynamics of how things are run. But particularly, and that's my question to all of you. What is your approach in regards to acquiring new equipment? Because there could be various kinds. Do you buy based on what would attract the most amount of members? What would be the most useful for most amount of existing members? Do you buy based on whoever is the loudest and championing the type of equipment that is going to do that? And when you decide to buy, do you buy the most expensive one, or the one that you can afford that is expensive that members wouldn't have access to otherwise, or you buy something that is mid-range or cheap just to have that piece of equipment there. I think all of those are valid. I was just curious between all of you whether you have the same approach or what is kind of your.
I'm going to take Tom because we asked. Tom, how do you do that? Charles,
well, some of it's donated stuff, some of it's the bandsaw, put money together, which is kind of approach. there's plenty of companies that are willing to help. It's not possible to find them all the time, but I think, you know, forming into these groups like UK Foundation and OSHUG London will allow us to go to those companies and say, this is how many members we have with Facebook, or whatever it is that they're particularly interested in, and how many people we can reach and give those tools to, and try and use that as a way to try and get more tools. The same way fablabs do.
John, at the other end of the spectrum, you're huge. How do you make decisions?
We have done it and always have done it as a pledge system. So we don't get donated, we will get equipment donated by members sometimes. We've never had equipment from sponsors or anything. But we will ask the members to put 50% of the cost of whatever it is. And then any member can say, I want something random. And if enough people are willing to put enough money to go with it, then that's fine. This generally works really well because it means we keep people willing to put money in, they don't have enough interest for it. So things like buying a laser cutter, easily got the money in a couple of days. Me trying to buy an X-ray machine, still haven't found enough people to back that. But yeah, I would love an X-ray machine, we'll get rid of one. But yeah, that works really well for us. So.
Oh yeah, it's just about the manufacturing connection, because I read about the China is kind of trying to build 100 makerspaces in the year or something in Shanghai, trying to connect makerspaces to manufacturing, and there's a kind of, yeah, I guess there's a kind of dodgy connection where you get loads of kind of young people doing stuff, and then people coming in and producing that stuff on a big scale, and you know, yeah, the economy of that, and I just wonder if people knew more about that.
What I'm seeing is
oh, right. I'm just conscious of time running out.
I know.
A couple of USB, Tom is smaller. If you, Laura and Jem, do you have anything in particular to say about buying the kit?
Most of our kit so far has been ages. We're quite lucky. We've got a few members who perhaps they've outgrown their garden shed. So we take whatever big tools they've got, we stick on low front sticker under the sort of acknowledgement that it might get damaged, but that's okay. So I think that's where most of our stuff has come from so far. We did win a 3D printer though, which is quite cool. Our first 3D one.
We take, we generally look for more than us wanting it, so it's the largest group, and we look for consensus to build our policies exactly as we want it. But we also look for people to pledge their time. It's not many things we do in fact by stuff we want to be, but for a core group of people, sufficient size to say, to pledge that they will look after this kit, they will maintain it, they will train people and so on. And if we get that, and if there is consensus around what model is we should get, then generally we go ahead. But we kind of volunteer time on this case resource, so we kind of try to apply some of the towards that. And also we ask the people who want that use kit to take on the task and things like that. Session for it. And that for those sheets is good, we do review this as well, I don't know how people put their back in.
Let's, okay, thank you for that. Let's turn to the question about China. Yeah, China.
I'm fascinated with China because America are leading the way on this. Everyone says manufacturers going to China, manufacturers going to China. What most people are woken up is China is incredibly good at making components. So go buy the components. And it could be actually a board. So it could be a drive board. You buy the drive boards in, but you manufacture locally. And it's the difference in the machines. Once you've got the machines on site, you don't have to send off your complete production run. You go and buy the things in. We do a lot, a huge amount of local sourcing in local in China is finding that trade relationship with China very, very frustrating. And they are building up local manufacturing massively. And the rest of Europe is starting to follow quite fast. Yeah, it's not me, just, you know, that's what we're doing. It's a community.
Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Follow-up question. I have a follow-up question for you. One of the things that's been noticed in the startup scene is the hardware manufacturing. And one of the things that seems to be the intersection of hackerspace is kind of, and hardware incubators coming up. Do you see that happen in the UK?
Hardware.
Yes. It's kind of following up on what you just said.
Yes,
the challenge is like.
I totally agree with John what he's done, which is you're not allowed to build poultry products around that. We allow you to build one, but so what we've got is we've got 2 floors apart vertically, 120 desks. That's an incubator going to there. You don't need to be in a Hackspace to make a product. You need to be in there for 4 hours, do an iteration, go back, do your design work, come back. You don't need to be in the lab to build. So it's getting a different mentality. It's a waste of time. You want utilisation of machines to be near 100%. Because that means you build stuff.
Okay. I want to, we're nearing the end, so I'm going to finish at 8 sharp. I'm going to give the panel 2 minutes before the end, so I'm going to ask you for one sentence that you want people to take away from this meeting. So you've got one of the issues that we sort of just touched on here is what we might call the issue of discipline. How do you manage people going off the rails, whether it's I'm taking over the makerspace to print thousands of my business, or occasionally you have constructive members. I'm very interested in this is all part of how you maintain the community. You may want to spread the question out a bit further. But how do you deal with if you're going to be open to everyone? How do you deal with when you get someone who can potentially wreck the community, and how do you manage that? And I think I'm going to actually get Laura, because she's
So first of all, community management is a discipline, it's a profession. So if you don't know how to do it, go get a book, hire someone who's do it. I think we try to handle it by having a very lightweight framework, but we do have a framework. So we're sort of anyone can come and try to be a member, but if we get someone who looks at a direction like they're going to be extremely disruptive, we will not come in. We've only actually had to do that once, but we have that there and we will gain. And if we have problems, we'll deal with it. So we have a framework which lets us manage things. So far, touch wood, it's working all right. That's a framework which means that we do a tech induction, which includes quite a lot of stuff about community. We have guidelines for what the community behaviour should look like. They're very lightweight, but they're there. And we do try to enforce that so that the space is accessible for everyone, not just a core set of classic Hackspace people. I think we've probably diverged a little bit from some of the Hackspace that's in that. But also, I would say we are, we have a great diversity of membership and quite a lot of Hackspace people as well. So yeah, a lightweight framework and a few people who are willing to enforce that and culturally share responsibility so far. But yeah, community management in that sense, do go check out certain programs trying to, but it's something which is better now than it was.
that's cool, Jen. Jen, that's cool because I'm very conscious as a member myself. So make it is going through that transition where it's just getting a bit bigger. And the so make it rule used to just be, hey, just be awesome. And we now actually have to put a few more sort of bit shades now to be awesome. You guys just talk about where so make it is going.
Yeah, we are in a very interesting place where we used to be a group of 20 friends, new larger space in January. It's been something we've been looking at, but not more. And we are having problems. We do have a set of rules, like you say, it used to be awesome, which I think comes from Lloydsbridge in San Francisco. But we have had to sit down and look at our rules. We have a list of maybe 10, maybe a bit more. The first rule is don't be on fire. These are now actually on a piece of paper in the makerspace, which we haven't had to have before. Yeah, it is. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. Yeah, so we've had to put these rules on a piece of paper in the space, which we wouldn't have to do before. We have to make people be aware of the way to behave when they sign up as a member, which again, we've not really done too much before, so yeah, it's something really exploring and having to think about.
In my experience of running Hackerspace, it's been the drafting of a key set of principles. So not many, and to be quite broad, but 8 principles is really, really fundamentally important. And then during an induction, we have quite a lengthy induction process that is really only 50% about how to operate belt standards safely, and 50% of it is hammering home the idea that if you're going to be a member here, it's a shared responsibility to work within and be a positive part of this shared ethos and of these principles. And really, beyond that, it's been self-policing, and we've scaled that over the years. The past year, we've doubled the membership size, and I think in that doubling, we've only had one instance where we felt someone wasn't self-regulating themselves properly. So it's about creating and agreeing to those principles.
Yeah, we've instigated 2 things, which is the experience of running innovation warehouse for 8 years, which is the coffee cup and toilets. Okay, number 1, if you're seen putting a coffee cup down, you don't wash it up. Any member goes up, taps on the shoulder, wash it up. If you're caught doing it, basically your license drops, you can't get all access to the machines. Second one, the toilets. If the toilets are dirty, don't come and tell me they're dirty, clean them. And if you're not prepared to be one of the members doing that, the reality is the rest of the staff. Cleaning machines is easy after you get those bits. And we've got the absolute basics. Coffee cups and toilets. If you're not prepared, don't bother joining.
I'd be interested to know what the production process is in spaces are.
Yeah, because we are
Okay, because some of them quite lengthy, I'm going to ask Liz and probably Jonty, because you've been doing this for a long time. Where you've got a huge makerspace, what are the key things you're trying to achieve during your
Induction. We are a lot more radical than most spaces. To become a member of the Hackspace, you can sign up online, you can register a card online if you like, and you can come to the space and you can start using the space without being inducted by anyone. You get set list of rules and things, and that's about it. However, the heavy machinery, the things that you might damage or might damage you, they get turned away by your member card, you must be trained on. We are actually probably going to be rolling out a very lightweight induction fairly soon, but that's actually worked remarkably well for us. As long as you make sure that people understand what they should be telling other people not to be doing these things, it does become somewhat self-policing. I say somewhat quite happily there. So I would suggest you have an induction. gas panels are, yeah. People generally aren't that bad, but the ones that need to be banned need to be banned. Yeah.
Sorry?
We need a black one.
Has been discussed. A lot of people are comfortable with that. So,
There are pluses and minuses.
If the guys turn up in your space, you'll be blacklisted.
Laura, do you want to add anything to the comment about induction?
So induction is about 90 minutes, it is about 50% credit card, we check your mailing address, we check you actually have a physical address, we take a photograph, file it. We also give the inspectors the chance to change their mind, they have a 24-hour kind of reflection period, if they had anyone in the induction that they feel unable to tell them the right, sorry, you're not coming in, they can still actually stop themselves when the person is in the room. They don't know if that person. So it's pretty intense, but on the other hand, touch wood, we've had very few community problems.
How often do you do your induction?
As often as volunteers are able to, it's usually about 1 a week, probably
I probably should say that we do say that people should at least come on.
Yeah.
So, but it's not forced, so people do slip through.
I think there's lots more we could discuss. We're coming to the end of our time. Thank you all for listening. I'm going to ask our panellists each one sentence they want people to take away from here, and I'm going to start. I feel the laser eyes. Nigel, we start this way and go the other way. As a gentleman that have the last word. Nigel, what would you like? One sentence. What would you like people to take away?
We are willing and keen to help. We don't want to kill off anything from within the spaces. So when we're no, but that's we're here to help.
One sentence.
One last. Can I just have one personal request?
Yes.
Electronics within the UK is all pervasive. It's got to be so all pervasive it is actually invisible. The UK has a great strength in electronics. There is no government policy for electronics. Aerospace or automotive. Electronics is not considered as an area that needs tons and tons of help. One of the things that would help me is anything you know of, which is fantastic, an example of why UK electronics is fantastic. Those facts that will please feel free.
Okay, that's it. 27 minutes. Okay, everyone's going to have a very short sentence. Tom, your short sentence, you want people to go away.
I just wanted to say I come from a design background, and I know that this is not necessarily that broad, but these spaces do have a broader appeal than just technology, programming, hardware. Because obviously that's not clear, but that's where some of the spaces really thrive or are differentiating. And I think it's interesting to see how that across London and across the UK is allowing there to be world-class spaces.
Great, thank you, Tom. It wasn't 27, but it was more than one. Tony.
We're at Bank Station, 4 minutes from Moorgate, it's 90 seconds from the Bank Station, and about 3 minutes walk from Mansion House. So, Moorgate Friday, come and join in.
Just want to highlight the importance of, I think there's a huge
you would like to contribute to Hackspaces across the country, come talk to me.
Laura?
Most of these spaces are run by volunteers. If you're going to ask some of those volunteers, think about what you're giving back to the community.
Jeff, last one.
We're spaces, so we're a community of makers who come together and make awesome things.
Thank you to all our speakers. To those who were former speakers before they got here, and who actually got roped in without warning, thank you very much. I hope you all found this a very useful panel. This is a joint meeting of BCS and OSHUG. BCS always welcomes new members. Cornelia in the front is the chair of OSSG and the council and can sign you up, talk to her if you'd like
And
to
you
come.
can have a 10% discount if you mention the open source special.
So there we are. Coming up next month, we go to FabLab. Next meeting next month is in FabLab, where we are doing
It's an IoT workshop with
IoT workshop.
Node-RED.
Yeah. In June, we are putting together a meeting which will be around a number of hardware inventions. We've got David Reeves from Cambridge talking about Chisel. We are hoping to have a talk from Rob Watson about Cherry, capability hardware design. And two students under David Mayer Bristol have done an open source re-implementation of the transducer for FPGAs. And we're looking for that to come down here. It's a bit predicated by exams as to whether we get students or we get David May. Well, news on that, watch this space. Looking longer ahead, OSHCamp and Wuthering Bikes take place in September in Hebden Bridge. It's a full week of open source excitement and free hardware. On the Monday, OSHUG, BCS, the open source consortium will be coming together to run a one-day workshop colloquium on open for business. To help anyone who's thinking of starting an open source business or who's starting one and wants more help. We'll be pulling in together speakers and participants from government. We'll be pulling them in from universities, and most of all, we'll be pulling them in from businesses which have been successful. So keep an eye out for that. If that's something you think you can contribute to, please come and talk to me or Andrew, because we're starting to put together the speaker program now. Okay? But final word then, thank you once again to all our speakers, and a big round of applause.
Sure.